Here at Georgia Tech, in the Complex Rheology and Biomechanics lab, we look at an organism, a sandfish, that swims into a granular medium, sand. We look at a physical model of that organism, a robot that can have a head that can tilt up and down to make it swim up or down in the sand as well. And we look at physics models, drag of objects within the granular media, to try to understand the forces that such motion generates in the material. One of the challenges for robots that must operate in complex shifting environments like those found in landslides or other disaster sites is that we don't have deep understanding of the principles by which matter interacts with such environments. One source of inspiration is organisms like the little sandfish lizard that can in fact swim and maneuver quite readily in complex terrain. Biologists have argued and speculated that the head shape of this animal allows the animal to move in the sand well, and the predominant idea is that the head is basically kind of a wedge shape, which reduces drag as the animal moves through the medium. So our robot is based on the principles we've discovered in the sandfish lizard. We took square blocks of wood and cut little wedges into those square blocks, and we could vary the angle of that wedge, and we could study the effect of the head on the robot. The first thing we did was we took the shapes, the candidate shapes, and we placed them on our robot arm and towed them through the granular media and measured the forces. We measured drag forces and lift forces. And sure enough, the more streamlined looking shapes had smaller drag forces on them like we expect. The thing that surprised us was the magnitude of the change in lift forces. We were able to vary lift forces by nearly a factor of 10 by varying from most streamlined to blunt shape. These results point to interesting directions in future biological studies as well as future robotic studies. On the biological end, we now have a hypothesis that, in fact, head shape in these organisms can be used not only to reduce drag, but to generate lift forces. And so we expect that organisms could evolve heads which have particular shapes to best allow them to maneuver in different kinds of materials. On the robotics end, we think that an understanding of control surfaces that devices can use to maneuver within loose, unstable material will allow them not just to move forward, but to move up and down within a material. And we think that by understanding the principles by which the organisms move in this terrain and then designing physical models which incorporate these principles, we can learn the basic foundations of how this motion occurs and help inform our robotics collaborators on how to design better devices.